Open raise sizing that prints. In online poker games, your open size is not a style preference. It is an expected value decision. You are buying the right to realize equity, to leverage position, and to create fold equity. If you size poorly, you force your range into bad stack to pot ratios, you invite the wrong callers, and you hand the blinds a better price than they deserve. We are going to treat open sizing like a tool. The tool changes based on position, who is left to act, stack depth, and the rake environment. Your goal is simple: build pots when you have the range edge, and keep pots controlled when you do not. What your open size is trying to do. An open raise has 3 jobs. First, it can win the pot immediately. Second, it sets the price for the blinds to defend. Third, it shapes the stack to pot ratio for post-flop play, which decides how often one pair hands can stack off and how valuable draws become. When you multi-table online, you want a sizing system that is consistent and hard to exploit. Consistency does not mean one size for every seat. It means your sizes make sense, and you have a clear reason when you change them. First, smaller opens keep ranges wider, reduce variance, and punish overfolding blinds by letting you steal more often for a lower price. Second, bigger opens push more fold equity pre-flop, deny equity to the blinds, and create bigger pots when you expect to be called by weaker ranges. The default sizing framework. At 100 big blinds effective, most online pools converge on small opens because people defend blinds too wide and rake exists. Rake rewards pots that end fast and punishes bloated multi-street marginal spots. That said, rake is only one variable. Position and opponent behavior matter just as much. Here's the clean framework I want you to start with. Then we modify from there. First, under the gun to high. Jack, 2.0x to 2.3x. Second, cutoff, 2.2x to 2.5x. Third, button, 2.0x to 2.3x. Fourth, small blind versus big blind, 2.5x to 3.5x depending on big blind tendencies. Notice the button is not automatically a bigger size. On button, you already have position and a wide range. Your edge comes from realization and pressure post-flop, not from charging yourself extra to steal. Why small opens work so well online. Let us talk math without getting lost in equations. When you open 2.0x on the button, you risk 2 big blinds to win 1.5 big blinds. You need folds often enough to show immediate profit, and you also realize equity well when called because you are in position. If you open bigger, you do not win much more when everyone folds. You still win the same 1.5 big blinds. What changes is how expensive it is when you get 3-bet, and how large the pot becomes when the big blind defends with hands that play well versus wide ranges. Small opens are also robust versus strong opponents. If a thinking regular starts 3-betting more, your smaller open reduces how much you bleed when you fold, and it makes your defend versus 3-bets a little easier because the pot is not as inflated. When you should size up. Context dictates strategy. There are spots where you should lean larger because the population response is predictable. First, versus fit or fold blinds. If the blinds overfold, you can raise a bit bigger and still profit. You are buying more immediate fold equity, and you do not get punished by calls. Second, versus weak callers. If a player calls too much and plays passively post-flop, you want a bigger pot with your value hands and your strong draws. You are not trying to win the blinds, you are trying to win their stack. Third, in the small blind, you are out of position the entire hand, so you want to deny the big blind a cheap defend. A bigger size reduces their ability to realize equity with trash. Be careful with the common leak of sizing up only with premiums. Most online sites have player pools that notice patterns quickly, especially at mid to high stakes. Keep your sizing tied to position and opponent type, not your exact hand. When you should size down. There are also clear situations where smaller is better, even if it feels counterintuitive. First, when aggressive 3-betters are behind you, who is left to act is critical. If the blinds or players behind are attacking opens hard, smaller opens reduce your cost of getting pushed off your equity. Second, when the table is tough. Against strong defenders, bloating pots pre-flop just leads to harder post-flop decisions with marginal hands. Third, when you are opening wide. On button, your range includes many hands that benefit from seeing flops cheaply. You still apply pressure post-flop, but you do not need to overpay pre-flop to do it. Small does not mean weak. It means you are letting position and initiative do the heavy lifting. Open size, SPR, and hand classes. Relative strength is everything. Different hands want different post-flop geometries. Your open sizing influences that even before the flop hits. First, high card and Broadway hands like ace-king suited, ace-queen suited, king-queen suited love lower stack-to-pot ratios because top pair becomes more stackable. Second, suited connectors like 8-7 suited like deeper. Stack-to-pot ratios because implied odds and maneuverability matter. Third, small pairs do not want you to set mine passively. If you're opening them, you need a plan to win without a set through C betting and barreling in good textures. That is why we do not justify open sizing with one hand at a time. We size for ranges. Your range composition plus stack depth should create a stack-to-pot ratio that your whole strategy can handle. Hand scenario. Button, price tag. Game. 6. Mac is online cash, 100, big blinds, effective. Hero is on the button with 8 of hearts. 7 of hearts. Blinds are unknown, standard pool players. Preflop. Folds to hero. Hero opens to 2.2 big blinds. Small blind folds, big blind calls. Flop. Queen of spades. 9 of hearts. 3 of clubs. Pot is 4.9 big blinds. Action. Big blind checks. Hero bets. 1.6 big blinds. Big blind calls. Turn. 6 of diamonds. Big blind checks. Hero bets. 5.4 big blinds. What this demonstrates, the 2.2x open keeps the pot at a workable stack-to-pot ratio, where your range can c-bet small on the flop leverage position and then apply a strong turn barrel when equity improves. If you make it 3.0x pre-flop, the flop pot is bigger, the big blind is still defending a lot, and you are paying extra rake and variance for a steal that does not scale in reward. Here, the small open buys you more frequent, lower-cost attempts to win the pot with initiative. Common errors I want you to stop making. First, using one open size everywhere. You are ignoring position and who is left to act, which are two of the biggest expected value drivers pre-flop. Second, sizing up to punish the blinds, then auto-folding to 3 bets. You are donating extra chips. If you size bigger, you must have a defend plan. Third, open big because you want value. Value comes from building pots against callers who pay you off, not from forcing bigger pots against competent defenders. Fourth, set mining mentality with small pairs. Open them because they function in your range, not because you hope to flop a set and quit otherwise. A simple adjustment system you can run while multi-tabling. You do not need a complicated tree in real time. Use a basic 3-lever system. First, lever 1. Position. Earlier equals tighter and slightly bigger. Later equals wider and slightly smaller. Second, lever 2. Blinds behavior. Overfold equals size up. Overdefend equals stay small and punish post-flop. Third, lever 3. 3-bet pressure behind. High pressure equals reduce size and tighten the weakest opens. If you do this, your strategy becomes coherent. Your opens, your c-bets, and your turn sizing start to line up naturally because you are managing stack-to-pot ratio on purpose. Key takeaway. Your open raise size is a range tool, not a mood. Default to small, efficient opens in online cash because they protect you versus 3-bets, keep stack-to-pot ratio playable, and reduce rake drag. Then size up selectively when the blinds overfold or call too wide, especially from the small blind. Always tie sizing to position, who is left to act, and the post-flop plan you are trying to execute. Now, let's test your edge. Question 1. What are the 3 main jobs an open raise is trying to accomplish according to the article? Answer. Win the pot immediately, set the blind's defending price, and shape stack-to-pot ratio for post-flop play. Explanation. The article frames open sizing as an expected value tool that affects immediate fold equity, blind defense incentives, and the post-flop geometry created by stack-to-pot ratio. Question 2. What default open size ranges does the article recommend for under the gun through hijack, cutoff, button, and small blind versus big blind at 100 big blinds? Answer. Under the gun through hijack, 2.0x through 2.3x. Cutoff, 2.2x through 2.5x. Button, 2.0x through 2.3x. Small blind versus big blind, 2.5x through 3.5x. Explanation. The framework keeps opens efficient in most seats while allowing larger sizing in the small blind based on big blind tendencies. Question 3. In the button price tag scenario, what is the article's main reason a 2.2x button open is preferred over making it 3.0x? Answer. The smaller open keeps the pot and stack-to-pot ratio workable, while the big blind still defends a lot, reducing extra rake and variance for a steal that doesn't increase the reward. Explanation. The article argues you still win the same blinds when everyone folds, so the bigger size mainly increases cost and pot size when called. Question 4. List 2 situations from the article where you should size up your opens and 1 situation where you should size down. Answer. Size up versus fit or fold blinds and versus weak callers, also commonly in the small blind. Size down when aggressive 3-betters are behind you. Explanation. The article ties sizing changes to predictable population responses. Charge folders and callers more, but reduce risk when you're likely to be pressured by 3-bets or strong defenders. Question 5. What are the 3 levers in the article's simple multi-tabling adjustment system? Answer. Position, blinds behavior, and 3-bet pressure behind. Explanation. The system is designed to be fast in real time. Adjust sizing primarily by seat, how the blinds respond, and how often players behind attack opens. Study hard, play smart. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next lesson.